It's looking as if it may be trying to wrap some rain-cooled air around that. That could mean that it could even become rain-wrapped, but definitely a dangerous tornado heading in the areas north and west of Little Rock, up into the areas west, and then just ever so slightly north of Momel, Arkansas. Jim?
Hey, Forbes, excuse me for 1 second. I wanted to ask you, is this storm going to be far enough away from the radar that we're going to be able to get a good signature on it, both debris-wise and circulation-wise?
Yeah, we are. It's at a very good location. I have been seeing, in terms of the tornado vortex signature, the rotation, very strong signature, even before it had a tornado warning. And then it is getting a good tornado debris signature as well as that debris ball. So it's in a position where we're getting all of the above. Now, as Bill was talking about, though, with that warm front there, if it goes too fast to the north of that, it will quickly get into cooler air. So it may begin to weaken a little bit. At least that's what we want to hope for the safety of the people of Arkansas.
All right, speaking of the people of Arkansas, let's see what Mike Seidel is seeing in North Little Rock, looking, of course, across the river back down to the city of Little Rock. Mike, are the sirens still going off?
Yes, they are. We can still hear the sirens, although we're certain that this is not going to directly impact the immediate Metro Little Rock area. We're going to look out to the west and north, and we're about 15 or so miles from where that tornado is on the ground. We have the damage near Marmel. There's also Marmel Lake, and this is between Little Rock and Conway, if you're familiar with the area. Very woodsy out there. Not a great chase area, as Reed Timmer has alluded to. Once you certainly get in this part of the world, a lot of hills, a lot of trees, not great visibility. You don't have the clear line of sight like you have out in the plain states. So that's what makes it even more dangerous. Also the fact that the sun is setting here in the central time zone here in Little Rock, and once it gets dark, you can't see it, and folks tend to go to bed. But if you know anybody that is certainly downstream, downwind from this system, north of Little Rock, up towards, say, Mountain Home, into the Ozarks, this could be a long tracker, and we may be dealing with this for some time now. The siren's going back off again here in the downtown Little Rock area. So, Jim, we're okay right here where we are, not a whiff of wind. We had a heavier shower about 15 minutes ago from a shower that came over us, but it's the very dark skies off to the north and west we've been following through the past half an hour or so, and very little in the way of lightning, Jim, at this point. Very little lightning that we've seen from here on the river.
All right, Mike, we're going to check back with you in just a minute. Again, as Forbes was mentioning earlier, we are not going to see this tornado come into downtown Little Rock. All right, it will be north of the city, but it is on the ground. It is rotating. It is a violent tornado. This is what we've been fearing all day. This is why SPC went high risk earlier on at their 20Z update. All right, Reed Timmer, I want to check with you here first before I go back to Forbes. And Forbes, while you're listening to me, I want you to get out of track of all these towns that are in the path of this thing for the next 30 miles or so. Reed, where are you exactly, and what are you seeing?
We're just about to go into the west loop of Little Rock right now. We can definitely see that dark sky to the north, but the cloud bases are so low out here, we can't see underneath it, and it'll probably be a good 10-15 minutes before we can. But it's definitely a tornadic supercharge. You can see the low-level jet of that, those really fast winds just above the ground screaming into it, and we'll continue to chase this thing all night if we have to. But it's a very populated area there between Conway and also Little Rock, so people in those areas need to watch out, and also north of the Jacksonville area as well. The storm is headed that way. So people should definitely take cover to pass this thing because it'd probably be a long-track tornado.
Reed, is there any change in the topography there that opens up a little bit? And also, is there any lightning that's potentially illuminating this or could illuminate it?
It's still, the terrain is starting to change. So we were coming through the mountains there in the Hot Springs area, and it's starting to get a little more flat out here. So we're heading northeast, and we should get visuals soon. There's still a lot of trees, but as we round that north side of Little Rock and head northeast out of Jacksonville, we should be right on it. But it probably is rain wrapped. Looking northeast, it just looks like a dark mass in the sky, and you can't see the cloud base just yet. I'd say about 15 minutes, we'll have visual.
All right, buddy, I appreciate it. Be safe. We'll check back in with you. I want to bring in Greg Forbes again. Greg, what are you seeing? We've probably got a new scan now on this. Sadly, I think it's still probably a strong and violent tornado. What do you got?
Yeah, it definitely still has a debris ball, and it's moving off towards the northeast, and it is getting close to the area near Mount Pilgrim. The Momel area. You can see right in here there still continues to be a debris ball. We've tracked it forward. If it holds together this long, it would come up toward the Mountain Springs area about 8:01. So that's about 40 minutes from now. In the meantime, the Momel, the Mount Pilgrim, Morgan, Cato, Olmsted areas, or at least somewhere in the vicinity of those, that is where we would be. Now, not everywhere in that swath. It's a pretty tight little tornado there. We know exactly where it is. So let's go to the high definition radar. I've gone back 15 minutes. We've been talking about long track. So this is before we got the debris ball. But even here, Jim, it had a tornado debris signature. So I'm going to go, this is 15 minutes ago. I'm going to track that one along, and step by step, I'll go 5 minutes after that. And it continued. Look at there. There's another debris signature. I'll go another step along, and it is has begun to weaken. But there's the tornado debris signature. And now I'll go to the most recent time, and we're up into this vicinity. So let me bring back the normal way we look at radar, and you can see that it has had a long track here of tornadoes, of a long-lived tornado. 15 minutes ago, 10, 5, and then now right at that debris ball. So still a very strong signature there, and let me slide that back into the picture. And so you can see there it is in this vicinity. It's going to go just a few miles north of Momel, maybe halfway between Momel and Mayflower, and then continue off toward the north and east. Very well-defined tornado vortex signature, very well-defined debris ball. Strong rotation. Oh, wow. It is now gotten such a strong rotation that the blues normally, as it goes increasingly fast from the northwest there in the blue, if it gets too fast beyond what the radar can resolve, it folds over in color and becomes red. So this has such strong northwest and west winds now that it has folded over, and then on the north side, there it has gone. Wow. It is. You know, the last time I saw something like this was the El Reno tornado in Oklahoma, when about the time that Mike Bettis was getting hit, the radar got so contorted in the color scheme that it became virtually impossible to interpret. So tornado in Roland, Arkansas, northwest of Momel. There it is. That is the tornado debris ball. There is, here is the big blue tornado debris signature that shows up in our dual pole radar, and that's the area that the velocities have become so strong that the radar cannot, without further research, cannot in real time, cannot unfold it and get the exact velocity. So the strongest tornado that we definitely, I would say, at least the strongest tornado that I've been tracking thus far this year in terms of the velocity signatures, and it is reminding me of the kind of thing that we saw when Mike Bettis in the El Reno, Oklahoma tornado last late May was. This is a very, very dangerous storm that's ongoing there, Jim.
All right, Dr. Forbes, thank you very much for that excellent analysis, as always. Again, Bill Bunting with us, the chief operations guy here. Let's talk a little bit about this storm as you think it's occluding and maybe heading a little bit more toward the north.
Well, it's certainly Roland, Mayflower, the highway out of Little Rock north towards Conway in the immediate path. Can't rule out in Momel either. This entire area, this is a fast-moving storm. If you wait until you see it, it's too late. You've got to seek shelter now. It's moving northeast 45 miles per hour.
All right, so Roland already has a confirmed large tornado on the ground. You think this is heading right into Mayflower?
It's moving very close to Mayflower, and then eventually points northeast. So this is a really serious situation in this part of Arkansas.
Who else can we tell? I mean, is there any other town up in through here that's big enough?
It's eventually going to move up towards and just south of Conway. It looks like the worst may go to the south, but too early to say. Really, this is a very dangerous situation for everyone. Conway south towards Mayflower and Momel. The radar signature is very, very scary. We only hope that what ends up happening is not as bad as we fear.
Does the warm front go southeast from here? So it just have a chance to get into the cooler air, the stable air?
It will move in that direction, but it's moving at an angle that it may stay in that area where the tornado potential is relatively high for at least several tens of minutes. So it's
we've still got plenty of time to watch this closely. All right, thanks, Bill. We appreciate that. Let's go back to Timmer Reed. Timmer, again on this cell as well. Reed, what are you seeing?
We still cannot have visual of this storm. We're about to go to the west loop of Little Rock. But I did just see a spotter report pop up that there are power flashes observed just west of Maumelle with a large tornado heading toward town. So multiple power flashes reported, large damaging tornado headed from the south, which might be difficult if there's rain wrapping around the south side. But we'll have to do what's called a hook slice maneuver. And with our vehicles, we can safely do that. But just north Maumelle and just northeast of there, big problems. People need to be taking shelter.
Where are you in relation to Mayflower and Roland?
We're about 8 miles, 8 to 10 miles due south of the circulation. So with these low cloud bases, we can't see the tornado right now, but we'll be closing on it fast here from the south.
All right, keep us posted, buddy. That is absolutely the game in town tonight. As Bill was mentioning, heading toward Mayflower, Roland, we understand a confirmed tornado on the ground here. Greg Forbes, let's get a look at the radar here and who else we can warn possibly. Again, the town of Roland, by the way, population 745 people. It looked like that storm and that debris ball went right over that little town. Greg Forbes, back to you.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to go about 2.5 miles south or southeast of the center of the little town of Mayflower. Here is the current Doppler radar with a debris ball very well defined there, just ever so slightly south of Mayflower. And heading off toward the northeast, we have Faulkner County, Pulaski and White counties now under tornado warning. There is where the tornado is. We have well-defined hook echo with this inflow that is coming in, rain-cooled air that is wrapping around, and the tornado is sitting happily in between the two and heading toward areas that could come toward. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Right down the center line here, going to go just slightly south of Saltillo, about 740. Just slightly to the south or very close to the Vilonia area, about 752. Then we'll be heading off toward the north and west of the BB area. About 8:02 p.m. It gets to the El Paso area. So dangerous tornado in progress. Let's go to our high-definition radar. That lavender debris ball, much stronger than even any of the returns that we're getting from any hail in the storm. Unequivocally, that is due to the tornado having debris that's been picked up and giving very strong returns to the radar. So it's heading off toward the north. You can see here's Mayflower. It is ever so slightly south of the Mayflower area. Here is the tornado debris ball. Within that, it is so complicated that the velocities are all confused because it's gone over the velocity scales that are being used. And the scary part is that entire debris ball has this tornado debris signature, the correlation coefficient so low because of all the tumbling debris that is present there. So a very, very dangerous storm with extremely high velocities. This is likely to be, based upon the kind of velocities we're seeing and the fact that it has this debris ball, this is likely to be, once they assess the damage, likely to be an EF3 or stronger tornado. Now, there is another tornado warning from a rotating storm off to the north of this that has also developed, and that is up very close to Searcy in Arkansas, White County. A little bit of a hook echo. It is not nearly as well defined as the one there that is near Mayflower, but White County coming up toward the Bald Knob area, and then north and east of the Judsonia area, you see not nearly as well defined a velocity signature, but certainly a north-south shear line there that could intensify coming up across highways, Interstate 67, I guess that would be, and Highway 367 might go right up that highway or very just to the north of that up into the Bald Knob area. So this one not quite as intense, but certainly a dangerous storm. Russell, about 7:57, that tornado is coming toward you as well, or possible tornado coming toward you. So central Arkansas, you've had a lot of previous thunderstorms. It is generated south of that, very warm conditions in the rain-cooled air, cool conditions, and the storms are tapping the shifting winds and that lift as that warm air hits that that boundary and allowing these storms to intensify and form tornadoes. Jim?
All right, thank you, Dr. Forbes. We appreciate that. Again, guys, the sirens going off right now, we understand, in Searcy, Arkansas. I want to go back to Mike Seidel, who's in North Little Rock. Mike, talk to us about what you're seeing.
We can tell you one thing, Jim, the sirens have stopped here in downtown Little Rock, and we were never concerned with this storm as far as it directly impacting right here in the immediate metro area. It's out that way, off to the west and northwest. We're looking in that direction. Off to the north, I'm seeing a lot of lightning right now, but that's the sky. And again, we're about what, 15 miles, Mike? About 15 miles up I-40. I-40 is an east-west interstate, but in this part of Arkansas, when it leaves Little Rock and heads up towards Conway, it goes north and west. So it's up there where we have that tornado on the ground and the debris, and that debris ball Dr. Forbes has been showing us Reed Timbers off to the south of there, down around the Mayflower area. So that's the sky we're seeing down here. All is clear here in Little Rock downtown, North Little Rock where we are. We've had one downpour in addition to the storms we had, Jim, this morning around sunrise, those elevated storms with a marble-sized hail. Waiting to get word from our desk and from our director, Tom Lee, whether we want to break down and head in that direction, come in behind it, and see if we can get some live pictures back to you tonight here from the Little Rock area. Jim?
Well, you know, Mike, it's funny that you say that because I was just looking at some of these spotter reports now coming in 14 miles north-northwest of Salem. This is probably around the Roland area of trees down, power lines down, houses damaged at this location. So what we, you know, when we're seeing a situation like this, there's going to be a lag. All right, we know what Forbes is looking at with these debris signatures. We know there's been debris. We don't know if they're homes. We don't know if they're multiple trees, whatever. But there's definitely debris in through here. And eventually, we will get the reports in of exactly what has happened, just like we saw earlier in Iowa and Kansas, unfortunately, with 2 fatalities confirmed earlier this evening. But this is definitely, in terms of a signature, the most impressive tornado that we've seen all night. It will be a long-track tornado. It is already up toward the Mayflower area. All right, I want to go back to Reed Timmer, who was about 10 minutes ago 8 miles away from the storm. Timmer, where are you right now?
Yeah, we're just south of it right now, Jim. We can see a lot of lightning. We can almost see the base. Like there's that hill just in front of us. So we're closing in on it. We're probably about, I'd say, 8 miles south of Mayflower right now. So we should be on it any minute here. And then our plan is to go north to Conway and then due east if we can't catch it there. So we'll at least probably see what kind of damage we're dealing with up here in Mayflower. Hopefully it's not too bad, but it sounds like it's a large violent tornado. And yeah, this thing is really going nuts. We're approaching from the south. We should be there in 5 minutes.
Well, all right, buddy. We'll check back in with you in 5 or so. The scariest thing that I've heard probably came from Forbes. When you start talking about a radar that can't handle the capabilities of what it's seeing. I mean, these radars are very, very finely tuned, but when they drop out of or go above the scales of the radar, you know you've got a big tornado. You know you've got a lot of damage somewhere. We don't know exactly what that damage is, as I talked about earlier. That is to come. Guys, let's get a quick look at this picture Christine was telling me about, Landmark, Arkansas. Apparently it's a spotter down that way looking north toward the Little Rock area. Now, I don't know. Apparently, okay, they're driving there. This must be a chaser actually driving near Landmark. That is south of Little Rock. So they're obviously heading up that way to see what kind of damage. But again, this is a classic example of why it is so difficult to even attempt chasing in Little Rock around the Arkansas area. I mean, there's hills everywhere. There's no getting around them. I mean, you can't see over those hills as you even drive at 50, even 60 miles per hour. All right, I want to bring in Greg Forbes. Let's get the latest. Greg, we've had another cycle with the radar. What are you seeing? Do we still have a debris ball?
We definitely still do have a debris ball. It has shrunk just a little bit. It's now north and east of Mayflower. We have actually 2 other tornado warnings in Arkansas and 1 in northeast Texas. We'll come back and get to those, but here is the situation. Actually, 1 other tornado warning in Arkansas. Let's go into this one. We still have a debris ball there now off to the north and east of Momel, off to the northeast of the Mayflower area. It's heading up toward the Vilonia area, and be on the lookout for that. We'll be right back. After break, we'll track all these storms for you.
All right, guys, we're continuing to watch storms again. Very dangerous time right now. Just to the north of Little Rock, Arkansas, we've had a strong, violent tornado on the ground, apparently a half-mile wide, as reported by storm spotters, that has caused heavy damage in Mayflower, Arkansas, about 2 miles to the southwest of there, where there's a large search and rescue effort underway at the present time. We are live in the NOAA Storm Prediction Center here in Norman, Oklahoma, where we've been all day talking to these fine folks about the outlooks, about the very, very busy day ahead. You can see the evening shift is cranking it out here. We've been talking to Bill Bunting. And Bill, you actually mentioned a couple of storms that you're concerned about as well, in addition to what we have is right now a long-track tornado.
The storm that's in west central Arkansas is also along the warm front. And this storm in northeast Texas, currently near Mount Pleasant, continues to move northeast, generally towards Texarkana, and the environment only gets more favorable as it moves northeast for the possibility of tornadoes. So this is another storm that has to be watched very carefully.
All right, so time to put Texarkana on alert anyway.
Definitely.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's talk again to Greg Forbes back in the studio, our severe weather expert. Greg, what are you seeing, especially with the storm that we know has already caused a tremendous amount of damage and is estimated to be at least a half-mile wide?
Yeah, it still has a debris ball on it, and we've seen some pictures of the damage. There are piles of rubble there, so there's been extreme destruction. I estimated probably this would be the kind of tornado that would give EF3 or higher. Nothing I'm seeing so far to temper that concern. Here it is. Here's the big picture. The storm that has had the tornado with the debris ball is the southern of two storms in Arkansas with tornado warnings. Let's zoom in on that one. We'll give you updates, and I actually have a slice that in the radar in a cross section. There is a debris ball in the parts of a rotating supercell thunderstorm. The supercell thunderstorm gets rain-cooled air that wraps around. Then the inflow notch comes in right there. The tornado forms at the interface between the two, and that is the debris ball that is the tornado, or at least how it shows up on radar. Here in the high-definition radar, and I'm going to have to get a drink here.
That's okay. Hey, Forbes, we're going to talk to you in a second. You can see the debris ball there. Just get a drink, buddy. It's hard to talk straight. Do we have Timmer back by any chance? Did you guys just... Okay, let's look at, guys, we're getting reports again out of this Mayflower area. Again, incredible structural damage down there. Greg said that he's seen some pictures off of Twitter. As soon as we can confirm them as being that area and from that tornado, we will show them to you. But certainly it would make sense, but you just have to confirm this stuff. You can't just chuck it on the air. Again, this has pretty much now traveled for the last half hour to 45 minutes on the ground with the debris ball as well. All right, let's get back to Greg Forbes, who is now hopefully quenched his thirst and ready to continue to give us exceptional information, sir.
That'll teach me to try to get a snack in between on-air hits here, Jim. So definitely still a tornado debris signature that is in progress there. I've seen the pictures of extreme destruction around the Mayflower area. It's heading north and east. The width of this debris ball is pretty close to a mile wide. So this is the kind of thing that we've seen, not quite as wide as the El Reno tornado, but certainly a dangerous situation. Here in the slice, I've taken a slice through this one, and there, the high return is the tornado. Now we can follow it at least up to about 10,000, 12,000 feet above ground when it then gets mixed into the rest of the storm. And so this is a very intense tornado. Can we go back to the other to the other Gibson Ridge? Yeah. And so at this point, we continue to have that debris signature that is showing up, and the debris signature is about that wide, the blue hole there, and the velocities continue to show that. The core of the strongest debris is in the middle here, so there is some wider debris that I believe is not totally tornado. It's been cast out. The tornado pulls it in and then tosses it outward a little bit. I think the tornado wind circulation is primarily here, but maybe even a little over a mile wide for where the debris is coming down. So you don't want to get close to this tornado. Then off to, and so where is it heading? It's heading across Faulkner, Lonoke, and White counties, off toward the northeast, toward the Vilonia area. Do we have, yeah, there we have the tracking for that. Vilonia, it's getting very close, within 10 minutes of Vilonia. El Paso, about 8:10. The Antioch area, about 8:30. And it seems very likely that it's going to hold together. Now we have a storm farther to the north. We have a tornado warning there for Cleburne, Stone, and Van Buren counties, not nearly rotating as strongly.
We are back at NOAA's Storm Prediction Center here in Norman, Oklahoma. We've been talking to Bill Bunting. Bill, I just asked you to calculate between Lake Maumelle and Vilonia, which is where we know this debris ball is heading. How long has this been on the ground potentially?
Roughly 13 miles, and it's still going strong, unfortunately.
All right, well, unfortunately, it's caused a lot of damage. Let's show you some of the pictures that we're getting in now, a couple that we feel comfortable with around the Mayflower area. And I'm going to come over to my monitor because I want to look at these as we're punching them up for you. You can see what we're talking about in through here. And I was just looking at one of them offline from Brian Wood. I don't know if we have that one, but this isn't it. This is near Maumelle. This is, again, if you look off, you can certainly see a dark base there lowering all the way toward the ground. You can't really confirm that that is the tornado, but certainly from what we've heard, and we know that there was a tornado on the ground in Lake Maumelle, that certainly may be it without question. I certainly can't tell from this angle, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, obviously a large wedge tornado here. This is from at Whistle Pig 11, and you can see here just a lunar land. This is the kind of damage that you see when you're talking about EF4, where you've pretty much got piles of everything all over the place. I don't know what kind of structures that are here. I don't know what's been ripped, but let me show you one more picture here. Let's just come over to my monitor. This came from Brian, what I was just looking at chat. Look at this in the foreground here. This is an automobile. That's the frame, the base of the automobile, and this is part of the frame right in through here. And I can't even confirm that that's from that automobile. If that is in fact what that is, this is a very strong and violent tornado. Let's talk to Reed Timmer, who is approaching the Mayflower area. Reed, what are you getting?
Hey, Tim, there's severe damage here. We are right near Mayflower, the south side of the damage path, and it's really bad. There's traffic is blocked up here. Looks like vehicles are having problems getting into the damage path. It looks bad. This is a very large path, too. We're in the south side. The trees are all southwest and northeast, and we're not even close to the core yet. This is really bad.
All right, so you're not even near the worst. You're not even near the worst damage yet.
No, we're probably about a quarter mile south of it, but you can see it up there, and it is not good. And we saw a visual of the tornado as it was moving up to the northeast toward Vilonia. We could see the left edge, and it looked really large. Rain around it as well.
All right, well, yeah.
I think we see that left edge. It's just bad here, real bad. We're coming into the damage now. This is definitely the
so we've got your stream back up, Reed. Is this what is this road here? Is this the interstate?
Well, we split off from the Dominator so we could make sure we do search and rescue, make sure everybody's okay here. Look at a traffic jam right now. Oh, they are. We just saw them on the right. So, yes, this is just south of Mayflower on 40 West. Mile marker 137 is the south side of the damage path, and just north of that, probably for a mile, there's severe damage.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Be careful. Keep us posted. We'll talk with you when we can. Let's get back to Greg Forbes. Greg, still a very, very classic hook signature here with the debris ball.
Yeah,
what have you got for us in terms of the damage for Vilonia?
I hope you're in the shelter, taking safety, lowest innermost portion of a building and protecting your head. That debris ball is right over Vilonia. Let's take a look here north of Little Rock. It's the son of these two storms that has been producing tremendous amounts of destruction. And there is Vilonia. It has gone across Vilonia. It is just to the east of Vilonia right now in Arkansas, Faulkner and White counties. You have a tornado warning there. Tornado is in progress, continues to be producing destruction as it's heading off toward the north and east. There's where it's still heading toward the Otto area and probably just to the north of Otto. Very close then, though. It'll come to the El Paso area about 8:02, coming to the Floyd area about 8:19. Let's, Sarah, go into our high-definition radar. There you see Vilonia. It has come from where that yellow triangle is up across Vilonia. It has gone right across the community of Vilonia, and it's continuing to head off toward the north and east. That's the tornado debris ball signature. The high returns because there's debris in the air. It continues. In fact, now probably has even tossed some of the debris out ahead because in the correlations coefficient here, the debris signature, some of the debris that has been already picked up is now dropping out ahead of the tornado off to its north and east. Let's go, and I've taken a slice through this about 5 minutes ago, and we can see, go ahead, Sarah, there is the tornado. You see right down at the ground, that's where we would be seeing the tornado debris ball, and then here is the tornado tube going up and toward the northeast. It's lagging a little bit behind at the ground where it is aloft, and it's up there at least 10 to 15,000 feet high into the storm before it gets absorbed into part of the overall rotating thunderstorm. So potentially deadly tornado in progress in the areas now north and east of Vilonia, Arkansas. Let's take a look. We have additional storms or tornado warnings as well. We have up to the north and west of Heber Springs in Arkansas, Cleburne, Stone, and Van Buren counties with tornado warning. Not nearly as well defined, and no debris balls showing up on that, but there is some circulation showing up right about in there, and that little notch, that little appendage, that would be heading up toward the Marcella, the Batesville areas of Arkansas. It's getting closer to moving into rain-cooled air, though. Let's hope that its fate is very temporary as a consequence. We'd have a tornado, a large rotating wall cloud, Morris and Titus counties up in northeast parts of Texas, south and east of Mount Pleasant, north and west of Dangerfield, heading up toward the Naples area. It's very close to the Cookville area, and so could be dangerous storm there. Might take a turn to the right there to the Rocky Branch area in between there and the Naples area, and maybe head toward Marietta, Texas as well. So dangerous storms, especially the one that is in central parts of Arkansas, but also some that are down into northeast Texas as well. Jim?
All right, looking at El Paso, Forbes, like you were talking about, you can clearly see the correlation coefficient. This blue area here is obviously something that's not precipitation, it's debris. So the radar says, I don't know what that is, so it's denoting a color to it that's very, very different from the rest of this. That gives us an idea where the debris is. So here's El Paso here, Floyd eventually off toward the north. All these areas under the gun, as this has now been on the ground now for over 13 miles since it's passed through Vilonia. Very, very dangerous and destructive tornado. Let's go back over to Bill Bunny here and talk a little bit about what he sees here in this storm. Again, Bill, it doesn't seem to matter that this thing's gotten north of the warm front. It's probably pulling it up north with it, isn't it?
I think it's in the frontal zone right now, and it continues to have a very intense low-level rotation. This has been a long track, potentially long track tornado, and it doesn't show any signs of weakening at the moment.
How rare, I mean, I'm not saying this is going to be an EF5, but how rare are EF5 tornadoes in Arkansas?
Well, they're fairly rare. In fact, they're actually rare anywhere, but Arkansas, of course, most tornadoes are typically EF0, EF1. So anytime you get into the EF3 or greater range, it's a rare event, and this is an environment that is one that could support that. And unfortunately, the radar data and the damage reports we're receiving certainly confirming a very dangerous tornado situation.
All right, so let's bring up this picture from Brian Wood we just saw come across NWS chat. I want to bring this up. And as you look at this, and you see the frame of the vehicle essentially pulled apart, I mean, what does that tell you about the wind potential here?
Well, I've seen vehicles actually heavily damaged when nearby structures aren't, so you can't tell a lot, but certainly with the trees, the structures that we've seen and the vehicles, certainly suggesting, at least EF3 or greater.
Right.
I really have learned over the years not to judge until you can get out there and look at things close up, but it's definitely a significant tornado.
All right, thanks, buddy. We appreciate that. Let's bring in Brett Adair, who's been out there on this thing. It looks like we have pictures from you, Brett. I saw your stuff come across NWS chat. I heard your reports coming in. Paint us a picture. Tell us what you've seen and what you see in Mayflower.
And we're on 365 just southwest of Mayflower, and there is significant damage just southwest of the interstate. Homes are destroyed. There's gas leaks. We helped get a lady out of a home. She was injured, had a laceration to the head. This is one of the higher end tornadoes, man.
So yeah, I was going to ask you. You've seen enough of these. I know you've been in very violent tornadoes as well. And like Bill said, we can't really rate this until we get out there. But you're thinking this is well above the EF3 scale, from what I'm ascertaining.
Well, in one location, I'm standing on what looks like to be a sidewalk, and there's a slab, and there's nothing on it. Now, back to the north toward the downtown area of Mayflower, I'm about 1 mile to the southwest on 365. Looking to the northeast, everything is just obliterated, man.
All right. Mayflower, again, a small town here, around 1,000 people, from what we understand. I mean, is it search and rescue? I mean, is there sirens going off everywhere, police, ambulance, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. We've been here on scene for about 25 minutes doing search and rescue. You could probably hear in the background there's a massive gas leak. People are trying to come into this area on 365 from the south, and I would definitely suggest that everybody stay off the roads if you don't need to, and let emergency personnel get in here to help these people.
Yeah, Brett, that's a great point. And, the fact that we can tell where this stuff is and tell you where it is, and you can still see from the radar here, we have a debris ball right there near the 84 or 64. I can't tell what that number is. But just east of Vilonia, again, around the El Paso area, that is still a debris ball. So we still have a very dangerous tornado that's been on the ground, potentially up now toward 15 miles. But, folks, don't venture out to see this. Think about it. If you put yourself in the way of a search and rescue person, think about that. That's awful. Don't go out there. Let them do their job. Let fire, let police, let rescue get out there and get these people. A lot of times, especially with a violent tornado like this, everything's just been thrown everywhere. There are roads blocked. There needs to be heavy equipment that gets in there. They need to create a path for ambulance because there are probably massive injuries, potentially anyway, with this kind of a tornado. So please don't go out on the roads to go try to look at this thing. All right, I want to bring in Greg Forbes. Greg, let's get to your analysis. We've had a couple of new scans now. No reason to believe, from what I've seen, that we have anything that's weakening anytime soon here.
No, it certainly is not, Jim. We still have a debris ball now. It's about 5 miles northeast of Vilonia, heading towards Searcy, Arkansas, and a dangerous, dangerous situation. It is now the only tornado warning in Arkansas, but it is off now to the northeast of the Little Rock area, probably about 20 miles away from Little Rock and moving away from Little Rock. It is bearing down on El Paso, so there in El Paso, you need to be in the lowest, innermost portion of a building. Put a helmet on you if you have it. Try to protect your head. This destructive tornado is coming to you. It is north of Highway 64, coming right into El Paso. We're talking about tornado warning for Cleburne, Faulkner, and White counties. It's moving east-northeast at about 50 miles per hour, so you don't have much time to be watching this and then seeing it come to you. Floyd, probably about 8:06. The Searcy area, about 8:23. Bald Knob, about 8:36. As this dangerous storm rolls off to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. Here it is, still a very well-defined debris ball, about a mile wide, and rolling off to the north and east. There's Vilonia. It has blasted right across Vilonia and is heading off to the northeast. I'll circle the high debris ball return. I'll show you the velocities on this. They are still so complicated and so intense that it's hard to get the good readings on it. But the reds here going up into the brown range and then returning into the northwest. Tornado now confirmed in El Paso, Arkansas. So there is the debris going back now to the normal way. Are we seeing that? Debris is being tossed out, centrifuged out, if you will, beyond all sides of the tornado as it gets picked up and then swirls out in the rotating thunderstorm. Let's take a look. We can still see it going up into the vertical. It's leaning off toward the north and east. Right down at the ground is the strongest debris, but then you can see this dark red and brown funnel coming all the way up here to now getting pretty close to 20,000 feet up into the storm. We can recognize that, and so that is the tornado tube. That is the tornado going up. El Paso, you're getting hit right now. Floyd, within just a few minutes, about 8:06, and then Searcy, about 8:23, Bald Knob, 8:36. And I believe this tornado has already, by my Doppler velocities at least, and tornado debris signatures, has been in progress for about an hour. So very dangerous storm. Let's take a look at the storm in northeast Texas also, Sarah. There we're timing that out when it's lost some of its rotation, but that storm, very isolated, at times has had rotation getting close to Naples, Bowie, Cass, and Morris counties, with severe thunderstorm warnings. And Sarah, I believe we've timed this one out when it's coming toward the Texarkana area. If it holds together, coming toward Texarkana about 9:35 Central Time, and some of the other locations there in the box in the upper right where it may hit. It still could rotate again. Hail damaging winds, certainly a possibility with this. Jim?
All right, Dr. Forbes. Again, guys, as we've been talking about for the last half hour, 45 minutes, we've had a long-track, devastating tornado that's been on the ground since Lake Maumelle all the way up now toward El Paso. Greg is still showing a very intense, tight circulation with a debris signature. We know there's been damage. We've seen some of the structural damage. As a matter of fact, let me show you the pictures here as we broadcast from the Storm Prediction Center here in Norman, Oklahoma, which is where we've been all day. And again, I cannot thank these folks enough for sharing their time with us on what has been a very, very busy day. Again, this is from a nickel hunt in Mayflower, Arkansas, seeing a tree which is probably just leafed out, now stripped from its leaves, stripped from its branches. We have 18-wheeler trailers that have been rolled over, and honestly, I can't really make out what type of debris that is, but it looks like some sheet metal of sorts that has been twisted. It certainly looks like anything that's been on the ground there has been kind of ripped up. Let's move on to the next picture here. We've got a few of these as they continue to come in, and this, again, guys, if you're watching us northeast of this storm, this is the same type of damage that you could see with this tornado. All right, it is the same violent monster that we see. Now, if you look between these two gentlemen, you will notice a car frame. It looks like a car frame or a trailer frame of some sort that's been ripped apart from the actual body of the vehicle. And again, everything has been flattened. And this is typically the kind of damage that we see with the stronger EF3, EF4, or even stronger tornado than that. Again, guys, dangerous time ahead as this storm continues to head towards Searcy in Arkansas. Let's bring Greg Forbes back in. Greg, what are you seeing on the next scan?
Still a debris ball. We've also seen a Twitter picture. A wedge tornado is in progress with this. Of course, we kind of knew that anyway because of the tornado debris ball. The debris signature is up to about a mile wide and is destroying just about everything in its path at this point. Here it is off to the north of Little Rock, 20-25 miles to the north, and zooming in a little bit, we still continue to have a tornado debris signature. It has gone across El Paso. I'm afraid to see what has happened there. Cleburne, Faulkner, and White counties, you still have a tornado warning, and it's moving northeast at about 50 miles per hour towards Searcy, timing that out about 8:23 into the Searcy area, Bald Knob about 8:36, and it has been in progress now with a tornado debris signature for more than an hour. I think it's about an hour and 20 minutes now. Here it is, still with that debris ball, a very intense debris ball. The tornado is there, part of a supercell thunderstorm that has a couple of wings, if you will, coming in from the north and west, spiraling around, the inflow coming into here, and then showing the tornado right there. I'll circle that. I'll show you the velocities. It is an extremely intense. The radar just not calibrated to have velocities this fast showing up, and so this is likely to be an EF3 or stronger type tornado, and continues to have right in there that bluish, that indicates debris, the tumbling debris that's showing up that doesn't look the same when you scan it horizontally as you do vertically. Let's go to the next one, and it's heading towards Searcy, and I've zoomed out a little bit with my slice, and as the storm gets a little farther away from the radar, we still can't see the top of the storm, but it's over 50,000 feet tall, and the radar beam cuts off. So because they only scan so many elevation angles upward, my guess is it may be 10 or 12 miles tall. And here is the tornado. That little lavender at the ground is that purple ball that we see. There's a debris ball. But then there is the tornado funnel, the tube, if you will, coming up now about 20 to 22,000 feet up into the storm. So one of the more impressive, or depressive, if you will, a tornado emergency now for Floyd, Arkansas. One of the more impressive or depressive signatures that you will ever see on radar. One good thing has happened here, though. We're losing a little bit of that debris ball. Boy, let's hope that trend continues. What is happening is we're getting the storm getting a rear flank downdraft. It is getting a bit of a gust front. Unfortunately, still a wide open inflow in that notch coming into this area, and so it is likely to re-intensify. It is not as if the rain has wrapped all the way around it and is choking off that circulation. So it may be pausing. We may get a cyclic nature to this, but still very dangerous tornado. Floyd, it is right about on you, coming towards Searcy, and then it will head off to the areas north of Augusta in Arkansas. White County, you have a tornado warning in effect for your location as this tornado in progress moves northeast at about 50 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm east of Mount Pleasant, Texas, heading up toward the Texarkana area at the Arkansas-Texas juncture. It's a pretty flat storm there. You're not seeing that kind of hook wrapping around with any kind of debris ball on this. This storm had a tornado warning earlier, but now Bowie, Cass, and Morris counties, including the communities of Naples and Omaha, you could be getting very large hail and damaging winds. So again, the most dangerous storm that we've seen all day today is the one that is off to the north of Little Rock. It has gone across Vilonia. It has gone across, and it's heading toward the Searcy area, going to go just to the south, the tornado part at least, going to go just to the south of Joy. Places like Highway 310 and 36 near and west of Joy, you're getting very heavy rain, some hail. But the tornado will be in this juncture, heading off toward the north and east. Again, Floyd, it is pretty much passing you right now, heading off toward the Crosby, the Searcy, the Bald Knob, the Bradford areas. So, Jim, a very dangerous, very, very destructive tornado, reminiscent in some ways of the debris ball that we saw back in the El Reno storm with the folded, as we call it, the velocities that we couldn't resolve. It has thus far, though, taken more of a straight line than that El Reno, Oklahoma tornado last year that proved deadly to some storm chasers. This one still is moving pretty straight. It may turn a little bit, though, to the left if it is beginning its cycle. Jim?
Okay, Greg Forbes, I don't know if you can hear me, but apparently we have lost the signal here temporarily, but we're good now. Okay, great. I don't know why we may have lost or may not have lost it. But guys, Bill was just telling me about the storm. Here's the one we've been watching, the long track tornadic storm that's now about 25 miles, by the way, on the ground. The one west of Russellville, also a very intense looking supercell. This could rotate as well and affect areas like Russellville, Atkins, and Jerusalem. I want to bring in from the National Weather Service, Gabe Garfield. I believe he's in the Little Rock, Arkansas office. Gabe, you're up toward Vilonia, Arkansas. So we know about the damage in Mayflower. We've seen complete destruction there. What's going on toward Vilonia, where we know the debris ball was still showing up very well on the radar?
Well, right now I'm located just southwest of Beebe, and we are attempting to re-intercept the storm to the northeast towards Searcy. We were on the storm earlier when it was out towards Mamel and Mayflower. The visibility was rather poor, so we could only see the wedge shape over the hills and trees. Cloud bases were very low, so it was very difficult to see.
What can you tell us, though, about some of the damage that you may have come across?
Well, we have not come across any damage so far. We intentionally tried to stay out of that north of Mamel, so we haven't seen any yet. We can tell you that the storm looked very rounded and very striated. As storm chasers know, you look at a storm and you see a very striated base, you know it's a pretty big, bad, beastly type of storm. So far, really, it's been very difficult to get a view. As you know, Arkansas, especially northwest of Little Rock, has a lot of trees.
Gabe, what would you estimate as a storm spotter, as a trained National Weather Service meteorologist? I mean, how close do you have to be to this to actually see it, given the type of topography and terrain you have there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly think that you'd have to be within a mile to really see it very well, and by that time, you'd probably be in some danger yourself. So we intentionally tried to stay off at a distance, but certainly you'd have to be pretty intrepid to actually have seen the tornado.
All right, Gabe, we appreciate that. Gabe Garfield talking to us tonight as he continues to stay on the storm and report for the National Weather Service in Little Rock, who we know are going to be very busy tomorrow assessing the damage here and giving this thing, at least potentially giving it a rating tomorrow. It may take a couple of days because it's a wide path. Guys, again, any new pictures that we have at this point? All right, let's go ahead and just call these up. I want to show everybody what we've gotten through here. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, we have had probably the strongest tornado of the year, without question, from Lake Maumelle up through Roland, Mayflower. We've seen extensive damage in the town of Mayflower, and now this storm has moved through El Paso and continues to pull up north toward the Floyd area. So it is still a strong supercell. As Forbes was saying, it looks like it's maybe weakening a little bit, but I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't let my guard down with this thing or the storm off to the west in Russellville. Everything is still in place for these things to crank tonight as they are just tapping into this very warm, very moist, unstable air mass, and really what has been an air mass that has been rotating with height all day long. Let's get to these pictures. Again, this is Jeff Woodward out of Mayflower, Arkansas. Looks like, again, it's dark. There's a reflection. There's obviously a pile of debris there of some sort. And, from what we understood from Brett Adair, there's a tremendous search and rescue going on under there. He also reported this storm when it moved northeast of Lake Maumelle into the Roland area. Again, population in Roland is 745. Melissa, give me the population of Mayflower. I'd like to know what that is. Again, guys, scenes like this, where you see everything scraped and pretty much flattened, a very violent tornado move through, and that